Courtesy of the floor.
Yes, I would like to make a motion if need be, that we have a member of the National Coalition for the Homeless on Teams. She has a 7 o'clock meeting. I know that it is not our practice to allow people to speak during courtesy of the floor on non-agenda items, but I was hoping that we could make an exception for this this person from the National Coalition for the Homelessness, Deborah.
I need a motion.
That's my motion.
Okay, I need someone to second. I'll second. Those in favor say. Aye. Okay. So I'm gonna read. Please observe the rules of council when given privilege of the floor. A copy of council rules can be found on the council agenda on the website. Copies are also on the back desk along with the agenda. When everyone has privilege of the floor, I will not entertain personal insults, attacks, name calling, or other behaviors that is inconsistent with the purpose of conducting official business. If you would like to speak, we're asking that you will fill out a card. They are on the back table. Provide them to the clerk before speaking, include your name and address. Courtesy of the floor is meant to provide public comments on items that are not on the agenda. Public comments during consideration of an ordinances, resolutions, and motions is limited by topic. Your comments must be relevant to the subject matter of the proposed legislation. Public comments are taken before council vote on items. You're given privilege of the floor to provide public comments. It is not a question and answer session. If you're speaking on behalf of yourself, you have 3 minutes. And if you're speaking on behalf of a group that has several members present, you will be given 5 minutes. Please address the council president, not individual council person or city staff. Refrain from insulting or defaming staff, officials, and the public. Refrain from using offensive language, cursing, and making noises while other people are speaking. Please be aware that comments or behaviors in violation of these rules will result in fortuity of all remaining time, and you will be asked to return to your seat. Go ahead, Ms. Kerr.
Things for him, if I believe Dr. Deborah White, if she's on, maybe she could speak first.
She's on.
Good evening.
So she's speaking. We don't hear you. Lisa, unmute herself. Need to unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself. Well, Mr. Napoli said Sarah said that she could hear her on Teams, so we just can't hear her for some reason.
The next by the speaker.
There we go. Oops.
I'm hearing her over my computer.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to the important issue of protecting the rights of individuals and families experiencing homelessness. I am Dr. Deborah Gilbert White, and I serve as a member of the leadership team of the National Coalition for the Homeless in Washington, D.C. I am also former homeless, having experienced sheltered homelessness at the age of 55 due to eviction. That experience brought to the forefront for me how vulnerable people experiencing unsheltered and sheltered homelessness and people at risk of homelessness can be, and the need to not have your humanity diminished due to your housing status. The National Coalition for the Homeless believes that housing is a human right and that everyone deserves a home. Our neighbors, friends, and family members who are surviving on the streets or in other uninhabitable places and spaces, in temporary shelters, couch surfing, or doubled up with others already have rights. One should not lose those rights because one does not have permanent housing. We are so encouraged by the fact that Allentown has been able to garner the support of nonprofits, businesses, and community leaders who have the will and moral compass to protect the rights of people experiencing homelessness. The Unsheltered Declaration of Rights reminds us of the humanity and dignity every human being has, regardless of housing status. This realization has been lifted in cities and states around the country, starting with the passage of a Homeless Bill of Rights in Rhode Island in 2012. Delaware, where I experienced my homelessness, is among several states that have proposed and is working toward the passage of protected, unsheltered, or homelessness legislation. California and Massachusetts are among others. We as homeless advocates understand that legislation can look different for each, but can hold shared protections against segregation, discrimination, laws and policies targeting people experiencing homelessness, privacy and property protections, protections of voting rights and access to shelter, services, legal representation, and education for children identified as homeless. Unfortunately, there is a need to lift all that the City of Allentown Unsheltered Declaration of Rights details: the right to housing, the right to enjoy public spaces, the right to vote, the right to personal safety, the right to sit or rest, the right to education, the right to fair housing, the right to social exchange, and the right to equal treatment. Last week, the state of Delaware held a hearing on legislation supporting people identified as unhoused, homeless, or without permanent housing to be included as a protected class. Nationally, Congresswoman Cori Bush last year reintroduced the Unhoused Bill of Rights, a resolution declaring rights for unhoused persons and provide solutions for the federal government to permanently end the crisis by 2027. All of us can agree that there is much work to be done to end homelessness as we have come to know it in the United States. What the Unsheltered Declaration of Rights does for some of the most vulnerable neighbors in Allentown is a simple ask: to protect the rights, humanity, and dignity of individuals and families without permanent housing. We at the National Coalition for the Homeless stand with and support you in this endeavor to ensure that the City of Allentown will be one to continue to explore solutions that support people in having safe, secure, affordable housing and legislative protections for people experiencing unsheltered or sheltered homelessness, so that no one will face harm when they do not have it. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's just.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor.
Courtesy of the floor.
Okay, we have many callers who would like to speak on the
Wait
APA.
until we do it, it's all there, right before the vote.
Okay, well, it's not, that's your call. It's officially not on the agenda, but
It's not.
it's not officially on the agenda. But she wants to speak on the APA increase, so I think she knows you're going to try to reconsider it.
Yes.
I'm telling her that it's not on the agenda.
Yeah, Ms. Powell, I mean, it's up to you, but I am going to, there will be action maybe taken later today. There will be a motion made concerning the.
So do you want me to wait and say?
It's,
It will be up to you.
Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay.
More precedent.
Thank you. Courtesy of the floor.
We got Alan Beck. There's no telling me that is.
I'd like to see cameras.
Good evening, sir. You have to remove your hat. Thank you, sir.
I'd like to see cameras before tickets. I almost got hit today by a speeding truck or people going the wrong way. And the Kinley School can be a parking deck or a parking lot for in-town only, being snow removal of snow and ice, and Center Street, a parking lot for staff, security, or parent teacher conferences. That's all.
Sir, can you state your name?
I'm back.
Thank you. Next.
Okay, so I have a Mr. Cruz, and he has listed as a topic under courtesy of the floor, juvenile courts and office of children.
Good evening, Ms. Cruz.
My name is Olivia Cruz. I live in Allentown, West Livingston Street. And to all these members of City Hall, I come to you today with some concerns within the Office of Children and Youth and the juvenile courts and their handling of cases involving families and children in our community. I come to you with my own personal experience, having a child who struggles with mental health and dealing with the constant battle within the school district to fight for her rights to be included with her peers, within the school system, and within the community. I've advocated for her since she was 8 years old. She is now 14. An incident occurred back in December within the Allentown School of Harrison Morton, where she attempted to commit suicide. And that led me to bring her to the Lehigh Valley Health Network Hospital, Cedar Crest, Riley on Cedar Crest, where I was seeking treatment for her. While there, staff repeatedly called Children and Youth on me and filed defamatory, libel, and slanderous reports against me, which led to an open case with the Office of Children and Youth in Lehigh County, which is a pattern because every time my daughter's in school, someone is reporting me to Children and Youth. Every time I file a due process hearing or advocate for her to receive services and supports that she's entitled to under her rights, her constitutional and civil rights. But nonetheless, Children and Youth failed to investigate rigorously, which led to my parental rights being taken away by Judge Johnson due to these false and defamatory reports against me by the hospital staff. I had to fight for my daughter while she was forced to go into Horsham Clinic, where on recording, she was crying to come home, and she was telling me that these hospital staff were threatening her physically to poke her with a needle if she didn't stop crying, and that she was never gonna come home if she did not take medication. So a child who went in, who was supported by her mom to choose for herself what to do with her body, and my family values and my parental rights, from doing okay without medication, now being told that she will take the medication because of the threats that she was being told by the clinic where she was supposed to be receiving therapeutic support, mind you. I filed complaints with the Office of Children and Youth. My court-appointed attorney, Michael Goff, has failed to represent me. He has done nothing to allow me to submit evidence to show proof that I have done nothing but been a big advocate for my daughter, which I feel is perpetuating the issue and causing more targeted harassment for me and my daughter within the school system.
Excuse me, you just have, your time is up. This is my suggestion. Can you leave your phone number? I personally will be giving you a call to give you some suggestions as to who can contact maybe the Allentown School District.
I've
And
tried
also
all that, I
county.
have exhausted. I even contacted Chief Roca, I've contacted my state reps, I've contacted the state attorney general, I've contacted WFMZ, I've contacted so many people in my community and I have not received help from anyone.
I will promise you that I will give you a call.
I really appreciate it, thank you so much.
Can you please leave your name and your phone number? Thank you. Next.
Hello, how are you doing tonight? Alan Ranger, 1801 Woodbury Street, Allentown. I saw today, we're inundated with these skill games here in Allentown, and all over the state. And Philadelphia passed an ordinance that you're not allowed to have these things, except for liquor licensees. If you drive around Allentown, you'll see little mini casinos popping up. 13th and Tillman Street's one, and they're popping up with all these games, and they're illegal. And I just would ask you folks if you could do something about it and look into it. And the other thing I wanted to say was, I enjoyed these meetings much more when the Triple H team was here. Hirschman, Pawnee, and Hunsicker. They made these meetings more eventful, and we were better informed too. And God bless them, I miss those guys and whatever. And I also want to say the best to you folks. If you're gonna fight this thing against the mayor, please continue to fight. If you didn't do anything illegal, why the heck are they fighting you guys? Trying to do this investigation. You'd think you want to clear his name instead of fighting it.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you, Mr. Ringer. Next.
Okay, so I have Sophie Armstrong, but that's on the homeless bill of rights, and that's coming up on the agenda, so you would need to wait for a while.
And then- Next.
And that's it.
Okay. Thank you. Contract approval?
Okay, so Mrs. Gerlach, you're not going to request to.
No, the main idea was just to have Dr. White speak. Thank you.
Okay, all right, the first contract for approval.
R101?
R101 authorizes the engagement of professional services with Government Consulting Group in the amount of $12,950 for services preparing and submitting applications, application narrative, for plan exhibit, schedule and cost information, and online submissions, and formal quote is 2 weeks long.
Okay. Do we have Ms. McNeil?
Yes, this is done as an informal quote. The department sent 6 vendors a quote and 2 quotes were received. And this is coming before you as it is a professional service.
Okay, thank you. Any comments from the values? Any comments from the public? Mr. Hanlon?
Ms. Appa?
Yes.
Ms. Gerlach?
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Mr. Napoli?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Mr. Zuko? Yes. And Ms. Carter?
Yes, thank you. R102?
R102 authorizes a contract increase in the amount of $150,000. It's an increase from an estimated $30,000 to an estimated $180,000 per year to cost tire and McCarthy Tire Services for tires for the city vehicles and equipment.
Okay. Ms. McNeil?
This is a previously awarded contract that is requesting additional funds in the amount of $150,000 to cover the cost of the tires. Due to the cost of the change order being over 10% of the contract amount, it is being presented here to council.
Thank you. Any comments from the dais? Any comments from the public? Oh,
I'm not real good at math, but I think that's like a 500% increase. Is there an explanation?
can you please come up and, state your name?
Betty Kohler, 2212 West Tillman Street, Allentown. I'm not good at math, but that's like a 500% increase in the estimate. I'm just curious why. Does anybody have an explanation?
So originally, when
30,000
this
to
contract,
180,000.
She's,
Yeah, please do that.
So originally, when this was given to council, it was estimated at such a lower cost because that was when the garage officially came back in-house. And we were unaware of exactly how much that would cost the city to supply us with the tires. So currently, that is what it's costing us, or estimating that we're going to spend for a year due to the fact that we go through a lot of tires. Mark Shada is there if you would like further explanation.
No, that's good. I just wanted it on record. It's like a 500% increase. Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Honey?
Okay, Mr. Locke,
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks,
Yes.
Mr. Napoli,
Yes.
Santos,
Yes.
Mr. Zuko,
Yes.
Ms. Moda,
Yes,
and Ms. Zappa.
Yes.
thank you, Mr. Honey. R103?
R103 is an authorization for a contract with Joe Hunt and Associates for $88,100 to provide professional consulting and engineering design services related to the Dixon Street pedestrian bridge.
Thank you.
This was done as RFP 2024-19 and was advertised on May 1st, 2024. On May 29th, 2024, the public opening was held and the city received 2 proposals. The evaluation committee held both technical and cost evaluations. The proposals were evaluated on the ability to meet the RFP requirements, and after all evaluations were conducted, the committee decided not to hold oral interviews. The committee made the recommendation to award based on the firm's qualifications and overall score. The committee is recommending award to Joe Hunt and Associates.
Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the public? Mr. Honey?
Mr. Hendricks,
Yes.
Mr. Napoli,
Yes.
Santos,
Yes.
Mr. Zuko, Ms. Moda,
Yes,
Ms. Zappa, Mr. Locke.
Yes.
thank you. R104?
R104 is an authorization for a contract with Penn Mountain Stone, the amount of $117,016 to provide masonry repair and preservation of the WPA stage at Union Terrace.
Okay,
This was done as bid number 2024-20 and was advertised on April 23rd, 2024. The public opening was held on May 28th, 2024. The city received 2 bids. After the department reviewed proposals, they are recommending award to Penn Mountain Stone LLC.
any comments from the audience? Any comments from the public? Okay, Mr. Honey?
Mr. Napoli.
Yes.
Santos.
Yes.
Mr. Zuko. Yes. Ms. Moda.
Yes.
Ms. Zappa. Yes.
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 Madam President, say roll call.
Thank you, Mr. Honey. R105?
R105 is an authorization for a cooperative agreement in the amount greater than $40,000 to Shader Yesco distributor and to Ezra Inc.
Ms. McNeil?
These purchases are through various cooperative contracts.
Any comments from the audience? Any comments from the public? Mr. Hammond, please call the roll.
Ms. Santos.
Yes.
Ms. Zuko. Yes. Ms. Moda.
Yes.
Ms. Zappa. Yes. Mr. Locke.
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks.
Yes.
Mr. Napoli.
Yes.
Madam President, say yes.
Thank you, Mr. Hammond. Minutes of previous meetings?
Okay, the June 5th special meeting, Mr. Zuko. Yes. Ms. Moda.
Yes.
Ms. Zappa. Yes. Mr. Locke.
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks.
Yes.
Mr. Napoli.
Yes.
Ms. Santos.
Yes.
Madam President, 7 days and no days.
Thank you.
June 5th, council meeting minutes, Ms. Moda.
Yes.
Ms. Zappa.
Yes.
Mr. Locke.
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks.
Yes.
Mr. Napoli.
Yes.
Ms. Santos.
Yes.
Mr. Zuko.
Yes.
Madam President, 7 days and no days.
Thank you. Communications. I would like to remind everyone that the next council meeting will take place on July 17th. Mr. Napoli?
Also, for visitors to City Council, we remind you and encourage you to park in the government deck next to City Hall. If you do park in the government deck, the city clerk has vouchers to pay for your parking. Thank you.
Thank you. Council held an executive session with our solicitor this evening at 4 p.m. in the fifth conference room. Pursuant to Sunshine Act exemption at section 708(8)(4) applies to consult with an attorney or other professional advisors regarding information or strategy in connection with litigations or with issues on which identifiable complaints are expected to be filed. All business.
You have nothing.
Okay. Report from committee, budget and finance. Chairperson, Mr. Napoli.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee met this evening. A meeting is scheduled for August 28th, time to be determined, to discuss the budget parameters with the finance department and financial advisor. If another meeting is needed prior to this date, that will be arranged. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Napoli. Community and Economic Development, Mr. Hendricks.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee met on June 12th and forwarded some items on this evening's agenda. There are no future meetings scheduled at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Human Resources Administration and Appointment, Chairperson, Ms. Alpha.
Thank you, Madam President. The committee has not met since the last council meeting, and the next meeting is not scheduled yet.
Thank you, Ms. Alpha. Parks and Recreation, Ms. Santos.
Thank you. The committee met this evening and we're actually looking to do something a little different this time. We're going to set up the meeting in July 10th at Buckyboro Park. The time is still to be determined. And we're going to be looking at legislation that was introduced this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Santos. Public Safety, Mr. Suko.
Thank you, Ms. Mota. The committee met this evening, and the next meeting is not yet scheduled.
Thank you, Mr. Suko. Public Works, Ms. Gurla.
Yes, thank you. The committee met this evening, and the next meeting is not yet scheduled.
Thank you, Ms. Gurla. Rules Chamber, Intergovernmental Relations and Strategy. The committee met on June 12th and forward Art 100 to the full council with some recommended changes. There are no future meetings scheduled at this time. Mr. Controller report.
Thank you, Madam President. No report this evening.
Thank you. Mayor's report, we have this up there.
In the interest of time, we're also not delivering the mayor's report tonight.
Thank you. Ordinance for final passage, Bill 53.
Bill 53 provides for the vacation of North Elizabeth Street from the center line on Monroe Street from the center line vacated Wayne Street.
And I think it's realized that this was in your.
Indeed, it was, yes, and it was forwarded favorably to the committee, full council.
Any comments from the dais? Any comments from the public? Mr. Hammond?
Ms. Adler?
Yes.
Mr. Ola?
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Mr. Napoli?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Mr. Zuko?
Yes.
And Mr. Miller?
Yes,
Madam President, 7 yeas.
thank you. And then Bill 54,
Bill 54 amends the 2024 capital fund budget to provide for a transfer of $14,511.74 from the street lighting upgrade capital account to Martin Luther King Jr. Drive lighting capital account.
thank you, and this was also in your committee, Mr. Law.
Yes, and it was forwarded favorably to full council as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Any comments from the dais? Any comments from the public? Mr. Hammond?
Mr. Ola?
Yes.
Mr. Hendricks?
Yes.
Mr. Napoli?
Yes.
Ms. Santos?
Yes.
Mr. Zuko?
Yes.
Ms. Mota?
Yes,
And Ms. Apple?
Yes.
Madam President, 7 yeas and no nays.
thank you.
President Morgan.
Go ahead, Mr.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to reconsider Bill 40 concerning parking fines and fees.
I need someone to second.
I'll second.
So do we have discussion on motion to reconsider?
So, yes, and I just want to point out that it's under Rule 12 of Council's rules that a reconsideration, a motion to reconsider an ordinance will be entertained only at the next regular meeting following the one at which a vote was taken on that ordinance. So I believe that the motion's been made, it's been seconded, I think you can have discussion, but that motion would have to pass. To, in fact, get it on the agenda.
I guess I should explain my rationale. Yes, okay, so my rationale is, since voting, in favor of the parking fee increases with the stipulations, which I do like legit, honestly appreciate the parking authority. Today I went to the meeting, voting to commit to do the meter study, and they'll be studying some other things as well. And the payment plan. That's great. What I will say though is, as a point of, just so that we all understand this process, so making this motion to reconsider means that, if you say yes, that we would re-vote on, was it Bill 40? And if it passes, again, then great, everything stands as it was, with those amendments and everything. I would just like an opportunity to discuss and explore some information that, I did not look at the Justice Institute report prior to voting, and I should have. I think we all should have. The disproportionate effect that this increase, even with the payment plans, will have on working class people, and the payment plan system won't be in place for a year. So we're gonna have a year of people getting significant increases in their fines for parking tickets, and it will disproportionately impact working class people. It will. So that is why I'm asking. If you don't change your vote, kudos to you. Don't change your vote, and then whatever happens, happens. I am asking for the opportunity to reconsider this bill. So.
Any other comments from the dais? Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, one comment I would like to make is that, we did what we thought was our due diligence, but apparently the mayor thought it was proper for him to become front and center with his parking ticket, to the point where he asked 69 News to do a story on him. I'm the only guy here, but I've never asked 69 News to do a story on me when I got a parking ticket, or I did my vehicle street cleaning, which I paid the tickets for. And then, it was brought out about our fine increase. That should have never been discussed. So, I gotta be honest, I'll probably still vote for the increase because it hasn't happened in years. But I don't think that's the way you handle things.
Any other? Go ahead.
Yes, so my second time speaking, this will be it on this issue, so we vote. So, also, just sometimes, I don't get a bailout. If I'm broke, I'm broke. I don't get a bailout. No one comes and gives me extra money. No one comes and gives me a raise. It doesn't happen. Also, we know that in 2023, the parking authority had to make some changes policy-wise and how they implement their practices due to a lot of folks in this room and others who issued concerns and complaints. One of those individuals was Yamilet Gomez. Yamilet Gomez was put on the parking authority board as a community representative. Yamilet Gomez is no longer on the parking authority board. We do not have a community, like someone who's purely from the community. Some would argue, okay, we've got 2 members of council. No, that's elected. We're elected officials. We've got a different role. But we have no one on that board who is purely a community member. And part of the reason is from the January minutes, quote, Ms. Gomez states that she's been here meeting after meeting, asking to work with the public, and she gets shut down, and the APA can't keep doing what they're doing to the public. Ms. Gomez further states that she feels attacked. I don't read the minutes of the parking authority. And if I would have probably not voted the same way I voted last time. I think it's also important that our community, the paid community liaison representative is also representative of the community, which this individual, I mean, God bless him, but he's not. I'm sure he's a wonderful human being, but he doesn't live in Allentown. He doesn't speak Spanish. He doesn't speak any other languages. He worked for Mayor Reynolds. His father is, pretty well known in the community, in the Allentown School District. And I just have concern that the community really doesn't have a voice in the parking authority. We just don't. So I would like to change my vote.
Any other comments?
I'd like to make a comment. I find it reprehensible that Ms. Gerlach, you were at the meeting today. We spoke of all the changes we have made in compliance and trying to do the best we can for the community. Ms. Gomez left on her own, and we were working diligently to implement a payment plan that she requested. We are moving in that direction and have made great strides on that. Myself and Mr. Napoli was involved with the committee with her. So, I mean, now you're pointing out other people, where they live and all of this other. 20 years we haven't had an increase. I think it's long overdue. I will not, and I will encourage my colleagues not to vote to do that or do over. This is nothing more than buyer's remorse on your part, and I think it's insulting to me as a member.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Hendricks. Any other comments from the dais?
So, Ms. Caller, why don't you speak first?
You need my name again?
Yes, please.
Betty Caller, 2212 West Tillman Street. I'm tickled pink that you're revisiting this vote, and I think you all pretty much know where I stand about the parking authority. I've been very vocal at meetings for years, I guess. 3 points I want to point out. Y'all took way too long to fire John Morgan. Again, a man who lives in Scotch Plains, New Jersey, running the Allentown Parking Authority, and ran them basically into the ground, ran up the debt to over $1 million.
Does this speak to the issue of whether that should be reconsidered?
Yes.
Yeah, how?
Don't you think?
In what way?
Think about it.
Come on.
And you said something about how many people on here read the Justice Institute. Their filing. Nobody read it. It was fascinating. It was fascinating, and it was exhaustive. And before you vote again, you all need to read it from page to page. It's pretty long. It's much better than the report that the city did. And let us please try to remember that the parking authority pays no taxes to the city. The parking authority has paid no revenue, am I right or wrong, to the city, because they can claim debt every year. Okay? They're never gonna get out of debt, so they'll never give a penny to the city. So what does this benefit the citizens of Allentown? And if you read the Justice Institute filing, it said that the majority of the tickets are going to the areas that have the biggest amount of poverty. How is that gonna help the citizens? I can see you can raise the rate of the rates, the parking rates, but not the fines. You can't keep punishing people for things that are stupid. Okay, that's it. Please, all of you, before you vote again, read the Justice Institute document. It is fascinating. Okay, that's all I ask. And I concur with Ms. Gerlach, everything she said. You really need to revisit it, and you all should be ashamed that you all voted yes. Unanimous. Jay.
Next.
Hello, I'm Yamila Gomez. I stepped down from the board in May. The main reason I stepped down is because I felt like my time was being wasted on the board. I wasn't being heard. It should not have took, I want to say like 7 months before it even got acknowledged that a payment arrangement was needed. I should not have to continuously, every meeting, state that the community needs this payment arrangement. And now it passed, right? $35 is way too much for them to have to pay. You went for more than half, so the tickets were 15, why couldn't you go up to 20 or 25? Now they're 35, with no payment arrangement yet. It passed today, from what I heard, it passed today, but not for a year, because the people are not gonna have a payment arrangement. They're gonna get these tickets, these fines that they can't pay, so we're back to where we were. Cars getting taken away. People not being able to get to work because now they don't have a vehicle. So I missed the last meeting, I couldn't be here because I am busy with my daughter has me in all kind of sports, and I wish I would have been here before you all voted, because I think then it would have made a difference. The time that I sat on the board, there was 3 separate times that day I should have just walked away. I had issues, if you read the minutes, I hope all of you would sit down and read the minutes of the disrespect that I went through, not once, twice, maybe 3 times while I was on that board. So I just wanted to come up here, let you know, I think 35 is way too much. If you're gonna put it up, wait, get a payment arrangement going first before any other fines go up. I don't think, if the payment arrangement needs to be implemented first before they put these tickets up to $35, between $35 and $50, that's way too much. So, you have any questions for me? Anybody wants to ask me anything? I'm willing to answer. Thank you. Next.
I'm Quinn, Allentown, Pennsylvania, and from what's really going on in America. Just remember, if you do a revote, which I hope you all do, just remember that you're honor bound by the 8th Amendment, no cruel and unusual punishment. And it sounds like the residents of Allentown sees as cruel and unusual coming from 15 to 35 all at once. Now, if you're going to do a payment plan, be sure that it fits within their budget and the timely manner of each of their paychecks, and all at once, because that is the government's job to honor the Constitution, which you're all held bound by, every single one of you. And Cece, I'm glad you saw that. But just keep that in mind, would you?
Thank you. Next.
I'd like to see some of them, I don't see a lot of them, but the updated parking meters, some are old. That's all.
Thank you. Next.
I just had a few questions about the payment plan itself. If you increase the price of the ticket to, let's say, $50 from a $15 ticket, wouldn't the payment plan be moved anyway because you're still paying the $15 within the first 10 days? All you're doing is basically predatory lending at that point from the parking authority. So you definitely do need to look at a revote in terms of this, because yes, you increase the prices, but the payment plan cancels that out and you're still paying more. It doesn't help anyone. Especially when you see that their practices do show that they are ticketing more in this area. I believe there's about an 8-block area around here. And sometimes they don't have patrols going to certain areas, but they are looking around. I can't really put any stock in a place that benefits on someone's suffering. And that's what the parking authority is doing, and continue to benefit that way. If everyone is happy and living life in a great way, then they won't be able to give out tickets and they won't exist. But because there are people that have to go from paycheck to paycheck, they can't take care of certain things. Let's face it, there's a lot more apartments than there used to be, people renting, there's no parking spaces. That's where they get their predatory lending practices from. So I really would take a look into this, definitely reconsider that revote.
Thank you. No clapping, please, no clapping. We don't clap here. What do you think? Come on, please. What do you think?
My name is Jocelyn, and I just want to address something that you mentioned, Councilman Hendricks, that the price has not increased in 20 years. Neither has minimum wage. And the people that get paid minimum wage live in downtown city, Allentown, where the most tickets are passed out. So that's something to consider as well.
Thank you. Next. Any other comments? Go ahead.
Besides the fact that it's increasing more than 50%, I just can't help but hear that they don't pay taxes. They don't help our city. Anyone else concerned about that? Like, we don't pay taxes, like, we need taxes, right?
Next, Mr. Garisha.
Thank you, Madam President. To be clear, I now serve as Ms. Patel's designee on the parking authority. So not only was I at the city council meeting 3 weeks ago, when this was thoroughly discussed and the deal was struck, I was also at today's meeting of the parking authority and voted in the affirmative. As you recall from the last meeting, there was vigorous discussion here, and Councilwoman Gerlach insisted on two things. One, that a payment plan be implemented at a set time, and two, that the parking meter study be implemented in a set time. Mr. Haney, who was here representing the parking authority, agreed to those conditions. In today's meeting, the parking authority followed through on their end of the deal to affirm those two conditions. That the board directed the acting director to formulate an RFP to go out and do a parking study. The board will then vote on it again at the next meeting. So we met that condition in good faith. And the second issue was, a payment plan. What needs to happen there is their management software needs to be rewritten to accommodate that flexibility. It's not going to happen overnight. They figure it'll take some time to do and take some money to do. Once again, the board directed the executive director to pursue that, to fulfill the agreement, the commitment that he made in front of council and the council made to him as a condition of their affirmative vote. I would just ask you not to sustain the reconsideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Any other comments from the guys? What, go ahead.
In the interest of accuracy, the fines were increased, not all of them went to 35. Some went to 20, 25, 35, some went to 50. They were based on an average of other cities across Pennsylvania. So what they did was they said, what does it cost to block a driveway in these 8 cities? And they took the average, and that's what they came up with the rate. And I think what you'll see when you look at all the fine increases is the more egregious fines went higher. So blocking someone's garage, that's something that needs to stop. So that fine is a little higher. Other fines did not go up as extreme. So maybe it went on to 20 or 25. There was a sheet that we had at the last meeting. I don't have to look at it. I didn't realize this was happening. But it shows every fine that the parking authority enforces, and it shows what it was yesterday and what it's going to be July 1st. And you'll notice that there are $15 fines that went to 20, 25, and there's some $15 fines that went to 35. But it was all based on an average and also how egregious the fine is. So, and that's just in fairness of, just for accuracy, I want to make sure folks know that not everything went to 35, just some violations. Thank you.
What I would like to know is, maybe Mr. Napoli, maybe you can help me out with this. question. Why would it take a whole year to implement the payment plan?
Well, we don't know if it's gonna take a whole year. So the parking authority board, which I sit on, they are at the mercy of their vendor. So they have to, their vendor that runs their software has to implement this feature, this module, let's call it a module, in their software. And unfortunately, we can't dictate to them like, hey, we want this in 3 weeks. It doesn't work that way. They may come back and say it may take 3 months. I know we have up to 12 months, but obviously the faster we can do it, the better. We authorized the purchase today at the board meeting, and the hope is that this vendor can come back quickly and give the parking authority this feature sooner than later. I hope we can have it in 3 months. I can't guarantee that because I don't work for the software company and I don't know what their lead time is. So I just have to be honest and say obviously we want it the sooner the better. Also, one point of misinformation, a person, the fourth speaker mentioned, if someone enters a payment plan, there are no increases after 10 days. The point of the payment plan is it freezes the fine and it gives that person a chance to pay that fine over however many weeks they need for, I believe it's up to 45 days. So, so there wouldn't be the steps of the 10, 20, and going to the district court. And also very quickly, the thought process was that it would never reach district court, so it wouldn't have all the extra fees that folks are dealing with right now. So internally, we can keep those fees away. So that's what makes the plan so beneficial. We to Bishop Blaze's point, we approved it today, and the hope is we can have it as soon as possible.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
There's another misconception too, that no, they don't pay taxes, but I served on the board for 13 years. And in those 13 years, correct me if I'm wrong, for you guys are on the board, any surplus was given back to the city. At one point, when they had money, I think up until a couple of years ago before COVID, right around COVID, I mean, we'd give 250,000, 70,000, whatever the surplus was given back to the city. No, they don't pay taxes, but the fact is now they are in the red. And when they were in the black, for many years when I was there, they were in the black, and there wasn't that all this development going on and a lot of the parking issues, and some of the money they want to spend is for surface lots. So that people on Ridge Avenue and people on Tillman Street to purchase and build surface lots, so they have places to park. And without an increase, none of this will happen. And possibly with an increase, and because what they did was we had more officers out there, and we were 24/7, and that depleted a lot of the money. But whenever they do have money and there's a surplus, that money is given back to the city of Allentown. I just wanted to clarify that in the past years you can check, they have given a lot of money back to the city.
Thank you.
At least when I was on.
Any other comments from studies? Okay, Mr. Henry.
Okay, the vote to reconsider means that you're taking that bill back and you're putting it in front of you without a final passage. So you're negating your final vote. So that comes in front of you like it wasn't passed. Right?
Repeat that again. Explain that a little bit
So
more.
when you reconsider a bill, you're taking away the final vote. The bill is no longer passed. It's in front of you just before that final vote.
With those amendments.
With those amendments. Yeah,
So-
with the amendments.
So potentially, if the vote to reconsider were to pass, say I were to say no, say one or two other people were to say no, and everyone else were to say yes, we'd be right back where we were.
If you vote that.
If you voted that way, yeah. So with the reconsideration, so we'll vote if we're gonna reconsider Bill 40 for the parking fines. If enough people say yes, if 4 people say yes, then that bill will be right back in front of us with those amendments of the payment plans and the parking meter study. And so then we'll vote on that. And maybe some people might not change their votes, which means stays, it happens, just the way it was gonna happen before. And then maybe some people change their votes.
Okay, is everybody clear on that? Okay, Mr. Hendricks,
No.
Mr. Napoli,
No.
Ms. Santos,
Yes.
Mr. Zuko,
No.
Ms. Moda,
No.
Ms. Appa,
No.
Ms. Gerlach.
Yes.
Motion to reconsider fails.
Consent agenda, there are 5 items on the consent agenda, R106.
Okay, the first one is R106, it's the sewage planning module for 714 and 718 West Greenleaf Street. The second one is R107, it's the sewage planning module at 302 East Hamilton Street. R108 is the appointment of Greg Evers to the Planning Commission. R109 authorizes the disposition of records within the confines of state law.